With USC set to kick off their Big Ten home opener on Saturday against Michigan State, I thought it would be a good idea to give a quick preview of the Spartans before jumping into my 5 hot takes for the game. Now keep in mind, hot takes are supposed to be bold. Most of the time they won't hit, and this is just a fun way to make some predictions. Let's start off with a quick preview of Michigan State. The Spartans come in at 3-0, with wins over Boston College, Western Michigan, and Youngstown State. They're led by Long Beach native Aiden Childs at quarterback and coached by Pasadena native Jonathan Smith, so this matchup is a bit of a homecoming for both of them. Though it's early, it seems that Smith has done a nice job of developing Childs' potential this season, as he looks much improved from last year. He has thrown for just over 650 yards with 6 passing touchdowns and 1 interception so far, but passing isn't the biggest part of Childs' game. He's a very capable runner and might be the most mobile quarterback USC faces all year. However, he doesn't come without flaws, as he tends to hold on to the ball for far too long, indicated by the 8 sacks he's taken on the season. Some other offensive weapons the Spartans also feature are wide receiver Nick Marsh and running back Mekhi Frazier, though both are questionable for Saturday. Moving on to the defensive side of the ball, they leave a lot to be desired as the overall unit is not very good, giving up 64 points in their past 2 games and only forcing 1 turnover on the year. So now that you know a little bit about Michigan State, let's get into my 5 hot takes for the game. My first prediction is the least bold, and that is that the USC defensive line will have at least 6 sacks on the day. This isn't a crazy take, as the Trojans have gotten 5 sacks twice this season already, and although they haven't surpassed 5 just yet, there's nothing that makes me believe that they won't on Saturday. As I already mentioned, Aiden Childs tends to take his time before throwing, and has taken 8 sacks this season against defensive lines that don't even come close to SC's in terms of talent, and it doesn't help that both their starting offensive tackles got banged up last week. Additionally, USC's pass rush has been on a tear this season, and there is no doubt in my mind that USC is capable of reaching that number 6. Second, I got another take that doesn't seem too crazy, as I predict that Jaden Maeva will have over 400 passing yards on the day. The Michigan State defense, especially their secondary, has not looked good this season, and got tore up by Dylan Longren at Boston College, who is good, but certainly isn't surrounded with the offensive weapons that USC has. Combining that with the fact that Jaden Maeva has been on an absolute hot streak this season, leading the Big Ten in passing yards, this does not look like a good matchup for the Spartans defense. Looking at their past game against Division II team Youngstown State, the Penguins were actually able to move the ball and generate chunk plays and put up more of a fight than the box score may have suggested. For USC, there's no reason that they won't move the ball and for Jaden Maeva not to rack up yards if Youngstown State could do it. For these next predictions, we start to get into bolder territory, and I think that Desmond Stevens will have a big game and log his first interception on the season. There isn't much statistical evidence to support this. Aiden Childs so far has done a good job limiting turnovers, and Stevens has yet to record a pass breakup or interception this year. Still, we know how strong Stevens is in pass coverage, and we saw just last season how careless Aiden Childs could be with the ball. It feels like only a matter of time before Stevens finally gets 2 hands on the ball after Aiden Childs makes a bad decision. Moving on to a player who seemed to sort of break out last week, prediction number 4 is that Tanook Hines records a play of 30 plus yards and has over 100 yards this game. Hines is a player who we have heard good things about from people all around the program, and have seen flash in front of our own eyes. And I think that Saturday will be a good time for him to fully establish himself as the next future USC star. Over the past 3 games, we saw many opportunities for Hines to rack in this 30-yard gain on plays where he was wide open or almost coming down off a one-handed grab. and I think that this is the game where he finally pulls this off. Finally, my boldest prediction is one that for sure is the least likely to happen, and that is that USC holds Michigan State's running backs to under 2 yards a carry. This is something that I don't think USC has done in recent memory, and I think there's a very low chance of this happening, especially considering their opponent. Michigan State and Jonathan Smith normally have very strong running attacks, and USC in the past few years haven't had a good run defense. The scenario in which this does happen though, is that star running back Mekhi Frazier's injury severely limits him, and he doesn't look the same, putting pressure on the backups who won't be able to make the same impact as Frazier. Additionally, the USC defensive line will have to play the best we have seen all season, coming off a strong performance against Purdue. And coming off of a big game, Eric Gentry must keep his momentum going. With that being said, that's all for the Michigan State predictions video. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing, and try to make it out to the game and beat the Spartans.